Hi, I'm Robert Muchamore. We've had some questions sent in by my fans on Facebook, which I'm going to try and answer for you now. Will asks, what has been your most favourite book to write and why? Also, are there any book ideas based around your personal experiences? Books are a funny thing because when you write them, you never really have like one book that's all good or one book that's all bad. So I remember certain bits of books that are really good fun to write. Like I always remember the chase scene in my third book, Maximum Security, where there's like 3 cars chasing after each other. And I had like little Playmobil men with stickers on reminding me who was in what position and who was in what car. And that was a really good fun scene to write. So there have been bits and that would be a scene, but I don't think there's been one book that has particularly been more fun to write than any of the others. In terms of book ideas based around personal experience, I think there are little things, maybe something someone says or a joke or a good line, but my books are like full of adventure and spies and people running up and going on missions, and my actual real life is really quite boring, so I don't actually have any sort of exciting spy stuff in my background that I can actually put in my books, and I don't like have background as a rock musician to fuel my Rockwall stories. The second question comes from Guilherme. Do you think there is a secret organisation like Cherub that exists right now in this world? I find it really interesting because the concept of Cherub, the idea that kids could work as spies and that they would be able to do things that adults can't, I think that would actually work in the real world. So I don't think there's like a real Cherub organisation with like a massive campus and hundreds of kids, but I'm sure it must have occurred to like spying organisations around the world that kids are useful and they must actually use them in real situations. So my straight answer to that question is yes, I think there are probably some kids in the world who are doing some kind of Cheruby type of role. Third question comes from Maddie, and she asks, I've noticed that authors tend to get inspiration for their characters from people they know or have heard of. Is this true? And who helped inspire James, Kerry, Kyle, Ryan, Ning and Kazakov? Well, I'm not going to answer about every single one of those characters, but what I will say is that generally when you write a story, it's very hard to take people from real life and fit them into your stories, because what you need to do is actually create a character who fits the role in the book. So for example, my Lauren character in the Cherub series, she comes into the series early on and she's James's sister and she's younger than James, but kind of James is a bit of an idiot at this time when he's 11 years old. So he needs his sister to be feisty. He needs his sister to tell him when he's doing something stupid. So you see that through what Lauren needs to be when she's first introduced as a character, we get the essential information on the type of character and the type of person that Lauren is. So really it's the story that creates the characters. You can't just take people from real life and like shoehorn them into your storyline. So another question from Maddie. For my other burning question is about how probable the missions seem. Does it require a lot of research to come up with the missions that they go on? It feels like every one of these missions could happen in the real world. Well, first of all, Maddie, that last part of that question was a compliment, so thanks very much, because I always try and make the Cherub missions feel as realistic as possible. So it's really nice when a reader actually turns around to me and said, yes, I almost believe this is true, or I really believe I could be a Cherub agent. I think that's actually really nice because it means that I've done my job really well. In terms of the research, like every Cherub book, I will always do lots of research, whether it's for Brigand's MC. I read lots of books on motorbike gangs and watched films about them, and Maximum Security, I did loads of research on prisons. More recently for Rockwall, I've been reading loads of biographies of musicians and reading about talent shows and stuff like that. Research is a really important part of your work, and I don't think you can get all the details and all the things right in your books if you don't actually do your research well and put a lot of time into it. The next question is from Daniel, and he asks, do you love me? And my answer to that question is yes, Daniel, I love you very much and I want to have your babies. The question after that comes from Dominic, which is hopefully a slightly more sensible question. The question that's been asked for years, Cherub movie, when is it? Is it going to be a thing that I can actually see? The Cherub movie has been 5 years away for the last 7 years. And it is still about 5 years away. Every time I speak to the film people, they always say, oh, we're working on it, we're developing the project, it's coming along, we've got new ideas, we've got new people. So there's still a chance that there's going to be a Cherub movie, but I want the Cherub movie as much as anyone else does, but so far it's never got beyond the script writing and the planning stage. If there's any news on that, it will obviously be on my website as soon as I hear. So the next question is from Agarth, I think it is, or Agatha, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. If a movie was to be made, would you rather have children the same age of your characters to play the team or older? Also, which actor now would you love to see playing James? This is a really interesting question. One of the things when I've spoken to people about making the Cherub movie, the people in the industry all say that the hardest thing is actually finding good child actors. There aren't actually that many of them. So sometimes what they do very often when they cast, they won't actually cast someone who's just like James in the book or just like Kerry in the book. Because the most important thing is not to have someone who is exactly like the character in the book. The most important thing is to have someone who's a real actor. And in terms of who I would cast to play James now, to be brutally honest, I just don't have a clue. I have absolutely no idea about any of these young actors, and it's almost certainly going to be someone who is unknown and you've never heard of being cast in their first ever role. The next question is from Win. Win asked, who is your favourite character across the Cherub and Hendersons Boys series, and if you would like to live as one of them? I always say my favourite characters, two girls actually. The first favourite that I've got is Lauren in the Cherub series, because I love writing the scenes where Lauren is doing the stuff where she kind of gets on James's nerves and teases him. And I just love all that banter between James and Lauren. That's really good fun. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because my other favourite character isn't in Cherub or Henderson's Boys. It's in my new Rockwall series. And it's the character of... I've forgotten her name. What's her name? Summer. And I find Summer really interesting because she's got this grandmother who she looks after. So she's a carer as well as being a kid. And I just find that really interesting, and just writing about her and how she looks after her nan and how that makes her life complicated. And I don't know, I just really like Summer, and I think everyone who reads those books really likes her as well. In terms of who I would want to be, I guess the person I would really like to be is James Adams in the Cherub series, because I wrote James Adams to be the person that I wanted to be when I was 12 years old, because I was a kind of skinny, geeky kid who got bullied and could never get a girlfriend, and I made James the kind of cool, blonde, good-looking guy who always gets loads of girlfriends, and he's quite tough and really popular and stuff. So I guess I created James to actually be the person who I wanted to be, and that's who he turned out to be. The next question is from Vicky. Will another book beside The Recruit be getting published as a graphic novel? And will there be more Cherub books after Lone Wolf? I'm really sad about the situation with Cherub graphic novels because we really wanted to do more. But John Aggs, the guy who did all the fantastic artwork in the first Cherub graphic novel, he has decided that he wants to work on his own projects rather than adapting other people's books. And we haven't really been very successful in finding another artist to take over. So sadly, it does look like there aren't going to be any more Cherub graphic novels, which is a real shame because I really loved the first one. And in terms of more Cherub books, the good news is there will be at least one more Cherub book after Lone Wolf. I've just actually recently finished writing it, and it's a big, big story, and it's got James and Bruce and Kyle and all of the old generation of Cherub characters, and it's also got all of the new ones as well, like Ning and Ryan and all those guys. So it's actually kind of a big adventure story, and we've kind of got the old Cherub characters and the new Cherub characters battling against each other. And a few people have asked me, is that going to be the last one? And I will say it's probably going to be the last one. But to be fair, I did say 7 books ago that Shadow Wave was probably going to be the last Cherub book. So I would never say never to the idea of writing an 18th Cherub book. Second to last question is from Angus. And it is, how do I get into Cherub? Well, I guess there are all the things that you have to be a Cherub agent. You have to be clever, you have to be tough, you have to be brave. But most importantly, you have to be an orphan. So I'm afraid if any of you have got parents around, if you want to get into Cherub, you're going to have to get rid of those first. But it's probably not a very good idea, because if you do go out and brutally murder your parents, Cherub probably wouldn't let you in anyway. So if you've got parents, you're probably pretty much stuck with them. And our very last question from Alex is, are there going to be any more Rockwall books? And the good news is, yes, there are going to be more Rockwall books. Rockwall is a 4-book series. So the second book will be out very soon, and that's called Boot Camp, and it's going to follow the kids as they enter the actual competition itself and as they train and prepare for the competition. And then there are going to be 2 more books. The third one is going to be about the competition itself, and the fourth and final book in the series will be all about how the kids react to fame, and one of the bands is going to be successful and one of the kids is going to go back to their normal life. So the fourth book will kind of be about the aftermath to the competition. And unlike Cherub, I think it's very much a closed ending. It's very much a fixed storyline. It's not like we can just send the kids off on another mission. So I think there only will be 4 Rockwall books. It's not going to be a series that goes on and on and on for a long time in the way that Cherub has done. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed me answering those questions, and I'm sure I'll be back online soon to answer some more.